Good morning, everyone. This video is about software that uses AI tools to create a customized assistant to analyze and answer questions about a file that's provided to it, like a transcript from a company earnings conference call. I wrote this based on OpenAI's somewhat limited documentation on their Assistants API that you can find on the OpenAI website. I also got a lot of help from tutorial videos on YouTube, and I've linked a couple of the key ones that helped me a lot below here. Here is the program in its entirety that I'm going to walk through in detail. First, I'll run it and show you what it does before going over it. For the file, I'm using the transcript from the Union Pacific Q4 earnings conference call. This transcript is about 70,000 characters, about 70 kilobytes, and about 20 pages if you open it up in Word. And this was from an hour-long conference call, to give you an idea of the size of the data that's being used here. So I will run the program here. And the program says enter a question or type exit to end. So let's ask it a question. What was UP's Q4 operating ratio? That's the key railroad financial metric. I'm going to tell us that it's working on it here in progress. There we've got completion, and here's the output. It restates the question to me, and then the assistant tells us that UP's operating ratio was 60.9% along with a little bit of commentary. So that'd be pretty easy to glance at the earnings release and figure that out also. Let's ask a little bit more involved question. What are the risks to UP in 2024? There, you can see our new question here and the assistant's response. So this is where this starts to get a little more helpful, that it bulletized from the entire conference call, including the Q&A session, what the risks are. Let's exit out of this, and now we'll go over the program. As you can see here, I'm using PyCharm as my development environment. This program takes text files as an input, queries the user for questions, and displays the responses back to the user. First, it uploads a document to ChatGPT. Then it creates an assistant that references that document. Then it creates a thread. And then it starts a loop that asks the user for questions that we just saw. When a question's entered, it creates a message, adds it to with that question, adds it to the thread, and then runs the assistant on that thread. Finally, it displays the response from ChatGPT and then starts the loop over again. So the input is a document like a text file and the user entered questions, and the output is a display of responses to the questions about the document. First, the packages used here, we use OpenAI, and then you have to import OpenAI from OpenAI. I'm also using the time package just to provide the 2-second delay to periodically check the status where it was showing in progress and then completed. Next, we have to reference your OpenAI API key. So this is where you'll put the path to your API key, and my API key is in a key.txt file. Then we get into the functions. I'll skip over those and we'll go over the main body of the program first here. Now in this case, I was using a saved assistant and file. Let's comment those out and go back to if we were starting from scratch. So first we call the upload file function that I've created above. And here's the path to my file, in this case, the UP Q4 conference call transcript. Next, we create an assistant by calling the create assistant function that I've created above, referencing that file. Next, we create a thread. Now this is just the API call for creating a thread. This is not a function I created. This just creates a thread. Then we start the loop. So while true, while user input is allowing the function to ask a question, we enter the question or type exit to end. If exit's detected, we break, else we run the assistant. So we call the run assistant function above that I created on that user input that was just entered. Now we'll go over the functions. First, we've got the upload file function, where the path is sent to this function, and this uses the API commands to load up the file to OpenAI. Then we've got the create assistant function. This is where you provide your assistant a name. I called it meeting analyzer, some basic instructions. Tell it where this is to use the retrieval tool, so it's going to retrieve data from the file provided. Tell it which OpenAI model to use, and reference the file ID, in this case, the file that we just created above. Next, the meat of it, the whole program, is the run assistant function, and this does several things. We passed the message body, so that was the message created below with the user input, to this run assistant function. Overall, this function creates the message, runs the assistant on it, monitors it for completion, and then displays the output. First, we create a message with that new message body. Then we run the existing assistant that we created previously on the existing thread that now has this message attached to it. Then we monitor the assistant and report its status. So this is where every 2 seconds we check through the API the status of the assistant running until it's completed, and we report that status every 2 seconds. Now we've got the result, and it adds it to the thread. So we need to extract the messages from the thread with this command here, and finally display the output. So we just print the messages from the thread, which will now include the latest question and the assistant's response to that question. Okay, let's run the program again, and I'll show you a couple other things here. What was UP's Q4 revenue? Very basic question here again. And from the conference call transcript, it got revenue of $6.2 billion. Now let's ask it a question that it would not find the answer to in that transcript. Who was Union Pacific's first CEO and when? Let's see what it does here, because this information is not in the reference file, so it can't get this from retrieval. I've not turned on internet access, so I don't think this can go out and pull it from the internet. So it did provide us a response here. Oh, this is different than I got last time I tried this. So it did not give me the answer. It told me it's not in the transcript. Let's try again. List all Union Pacific historical CEOs. So this is the answer I would expect. The last couple of times I've asked this question, it did give me an answer that it clearly got from its knowledge base, because I did not have internet access turned on. So again, this is where you still get inconsistent results from these large language models. Last thing I'll show you here is how to retrieve the assistant ID. When we ran the program here, we created a new assistant we first uploaded a new file, and then created a new assistant. You can also run the program on an existing assistant that already has a file associated with it. And to do that, you need to know that existing assistant's ID. And this is simply a very quick command, assistant.id, into Python console here after we ran the program, and there's the ID of the assistant I just created. And if you want to modify the program to use that, let's comment out these lines here and comment in the ones where we uploaded a new file and created a new assistant. You would put your new assistant ID that you created here, and then you can reference that each time, because it does cost a little bit of money every time you upload a new file to OpenAI. That's my very simple assistance program. Let me know any comments or questions you have in the comments below or on the OpenAI forums. Thank you.